Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. How are you today? Did anybody come and experience Red, White, and You today on campus? Have a good time? Great. Well, this is just an extension of that. I am Keith Needham. I am the director of Talent on Wheels, the group that you've come to see perform this afternoon. And it's my distinguished honor and pleasure to introduce to you someone that I have had the pleasure of working with now for almost 5 years. It's hard to believe. She is a person of great integrity, and I always say of style and class, and no matter where we go, she emanates that. And it is a great pleasure that I introduce to you the director of the Texas Academy of Leadership in the Humanities, Dr. Mary Gagne.
It is my pleasure to welcome all of you. Is my mic on? It's not. To welcome you. This is Australian mic. Is it on now? Is it on now? Disconnected. That one is on. Thank you, Mr. Needham. I broke it. That's all right. We would like to welcome you this afternoon. It is a great pleasure to be here with you. This afternoon, the name of the program is The Defenders of the Dream. I would like to thank profusely Mr. Needham, if he would come forward here, and all of the students of the Academy who have been very active in this program. Keith Needham is incredible. I'd like you to look at him. He's incredible. Mr. Needham is very patriotic. He loves America, as you'll see. He is gifted, he is energetic, he is creative, he is talented, he is compassionate, he truly loves. This is the 4th year of this service project. Let me tell you when we began. We began this project in the year 2000, and then it was called the Texas Academy Talent on Wheels. No title except that. It was pure and simple. The next year, in 2001, it was entitled The Spirit of America. In 2002, it was entitled The Language of the Heart. And this year, we have The Defenders of the Dream. Keith Needham wrote, directed, produced, and starred in each one of these. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you, and now we present The Defenders of the Dream.
In every heart, there lives a dream. It's the same dream that calls to people throughout the earth to this place of freedom, to this land whose welcoming shores offer liberty unto all the inhabitants thereof. The dream is America. And over the centuries, that dream has been music to our ears, its orchestral sounds filling us with the hope of freedom. If we listen, we can hear the sound of that song in the city and in the country. We can hear it in the souls of those of the urban skyrise, and we can hear it in the hearts of those traveling a long and dusty road. The music of that song is alive. It thrives in the farms and in the factory towns, and where we might think would be no dream at all, the dream springs alive. If ever there's a time we forgot its worth, still today we remember. And we know that the name of that song is the name of the dream, and it's music to our ears. America, the dream goes on.
There's a song in the dust of a country road on a blue that comes to call. And it sings in the farms and the factory towns, and where you think that no song at all. And the words are the words that our fathers heard as they whistled down the years. And the name of the song is the name of the dream, and it's music to our ears. America. And the dream goes on. And the words that we read on the courthouse walls are the words that make us free. Remember the way we began, and pursue into the best we can be. Was there ever a time we forgot its worth, all the struggles and the scars? To the children, a sky full of hope, and the flag that's filled with stars. America, America, and the dream goes on. Remember the voice of Jefferson and the sound of Thomas Paine. We can sing at Gettysburg about America. And you can hear from Oregon to in the dust of a country road, it's a song we must recall. And it sings in the farms and the factory towns, and where you think there be no song at all. Those are the words that our fathers heard as they whistled down the years. The song is the name of the dream, and it's music to our ears. America, America, and the dream goes on. Roosevelt and Kennedy and Martin Luther King, and the way they sang the song about America. It's always there, and it's asking us to sing. Voices are changing, the song's the same as it seems from sea to sea. And as long as the music is strong and clear, we know that tomorrow will always be free.
Lamar University. It's so good to be at Lamar this week. We've been out traveling around. How many of you here believe in the American dream? If you do, make some noise in the house. We believe in the American dream in the Texas Academy. It's not something that should be taken for granted. There are people around the world who make fun of the American dream, and there are those who hate the American dream. But the American dream has gone on for over 200 years at a very expensive price. Over the years, defenders of that dream have had to rise to the call to ensure that the flame of liberty is never extinguished. June 28, 1914, Austria-Hungary declared war on Russia. And within a few days, Germany invaded Luxembourg and declared war on France. On April the 2nd, 1917, with Germany practicing unrestricted warfare on submarines, President Woodrow Wilson solemnly addressed the United States Congress. He said, "The present German submarine warfare against commerce is a warfare against mankind. Our motive will be the vindication of right, of human rights, of which we are only a single champion. We will not choose the path of submission and suffer the most sacred rights of our nation and our people to be ignored or violated." With a profound sense of the solemn and even tragical character of the step that I'm taking, I advise that the Congress declare the recent course of the Imperial German government to be in fact nothing less than war against the government and the people of the United States. 4 days later, the U.S. declared war on Germany, and the defenders of the dream rose to their call. 5 million soldiers were called into action. 53,000 never again saw the shores of freedom. Tonight, we honor the defenders of the dream, those who gave themselves to the cause of that dream in the First World War. And here to honor them in her own way, playing on her viola, the Soldiers Medley, would you please welcome Miss Diana Saeed. Deanna Saeed, folks. Thank you, Deanna. In spite of my bad notes, she held in there. You know, for the last couple of years, I've been up here playing too, but hosting all by myself, and I didn't want to do that again this year, so I asked somebody to come and to help me co-host this afternoon, and so she's going to come out in just a moment. Would you please welcome the co-president of the Texas Academy, Miss Elizabeth Chapman.
Thank you.
I don't think your mic works. Does it really?
Hello?
We'll share. Let me switch places though with you. I like to be on this side. You know, you get used to sort of like a marriage. You get used to the same side of the bed, the same side of the house, your same chair, and this is my side to host from. I can't be in another place except this place, so I'm over here. During the war that was to end all wars, as it was then known, one of the greatest of the defenders of the dream was First Lieutenant of the United States Army, Deming Bronson.
On the morning of September 26, 1918, an exploding enemy hand grenade struck Bronson, who received deep cuts on his face and on the back of his head. But he insisted on continuing to aid his fellow soldiers, in spite of his wounds. On the afternoon of the same day, he was wounded a second time, painfully in the left arm by an enemy rifle bullet, but remained on duty throughout the night, suffering from severe pain and shock.
During the next day, when Bronson's friends resumed their attack, Bronson, badly wounded and now in pain, gallantly joined in and helped in the capture of the village, being terrorized by enemy forces. Then he remained with his comrades and participated in the capture of an enemy machine gun, insisting that he be the last to leave the advanced position. And being the last and in the most danger, Bronson was injured a third time in both arms, this time by an enemy high-explosive shell.
Bleeding profusely and facing the loss of blood, First Lieutenant Bronson remained with the survivors of the company, his friends, throughout the night of the second day, and refusing to go to the rear for treatment and insisting on helping his fellow soldiers.
Bronson's conspicuous gallantry and his spirit of self-sacrifice were a source of great inspiration to the members of the entire command. For his dramatic acts of heroism, and because he was a true defender of the dream, Bronson received the U.S. Medal of Honor. Certainly, Deming Bronson was a true defender of the American dream.
On November 11, 1918, World War I ended and Americans rejoiced over the return of their men and women in uniform. The defenders of the dream were coming home.
Ladies and gentlemen, would you please make welcome those who are coming to celebrate the return of the World War I heroes in their own way, the Talent on Wheels Color Guard. you, color guard. Sunday, December 7th, 1941. 130 vessels of the U.S. Navy's Pacific Fleet, consisting of battleships, destroyers, cruisers, and support ships, were in port at Pearl Harbor on the island of Oahu, Hawaii. At 7:55 a.m., most of the crews were still asleep when airplane propellers and engines were heard over the island. Without any formal declaration of war, the Japanese Imperial Navy began a surprise bombing attack against the United States of America.
Losses were tremendous. Having been hit by a 1,760-pound armor-piercing bomb that slammed through her deck, the USS Arizona exploded. She sank with 1,177 crew members. The USS Oklahoma, hit by several torpedoes, rolled completely over, trapping with her 700 men inside. The USS California and the USS West Virginia sank at their moorings, while the USS Utah capsized with 50 of her crew. Other ships, aircraft, and military installations on the island were badly hit as well. By 10 a.m., the attack was over. Of 353 Japanese aircraft, 29 were shot down, while 5 midget submarines were stopped. 2,388 U.S. military personnel and civilians were killed. 1,178 were wounded.
On December the 8th, 1941, President Franklin Delano Roosevelt addressed the United States Congress and the nation, calling once again on the defenders of the dream to demonstrate the righteous might of a nation and win through to absolute victory. World War II had begun.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan. No matter how long it may take us to overcome this premeditated invasion, the American people in their righteous might will win through to absolute victory. Congress declare that since the unprovoked and dastardly attack by Japan on Sunday, December 7th, 1941, a state of war has existed between the United States and the Japanese Empire.
Public support for the war effort was overwhelming. The American people willingly underwent rationing of foods and supplies, and many tens of thousands volunteered their time and energy. And while their strength prevailed, so many faced the anxiety when their husbands and sons were drafted into the armed services.
And you don't have to identify yourself, but if you were alive on December the 7th, 1941, it's been said you'll never forget where you were. You won't ever forget where you were, I hope, when you heard this song that you're about to hear. It was one of the most popular songs of the wartime, and it speaks of that separation between two people who love each other. Here to perform that for you are our boogie woogie dancers and their very own bugle boy.
H to the bar. In boogie rhythm, he can't blow a note as the bass and guitar is playing with him. And the company just beneath Miss Beverly, he's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. He was some boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. And he plays boogie woogie bugle as he plays. He played the company cafe song. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. And I'm Julia, Julia, do 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 H to the bar. Yeah, so no to the bass and the just beneath Miss Beverly, he's the boogie woogie bugle boy of Company B. Every time, and waste some time to sing the early cries. They clap their hands and they sing down the beat. They know when the goal is come again. They want more, it's like when it's playing early. The boogie woogie bugle has got it made. Just keep going, hey, get on the bass guitar and just walk with them. And the company just leaves Miss Beverly. He's the boogie woogie bugle boy.
You picked well, Shay. You picked well.
On August 14, 1945, Japanese Emperor Hirohito conceded Japan's defeat. With 16,112,566 U.S. troops mobilized and almost 300,000 battle deaths, the U.S. celebrated the end of the Second World War and welcomed home the defenders of the dream.
Sunday, June 25th, 1950. With an invasive attack, communist forces in northern Korea trespassed over the 38th parallel into southern Korea, a free nation. On July 19th, 1950, President Harry S. Truman addressed the United States Congress and its citizens. President Truman offered, "This attack has made it clear beyond all doubt that the international communist movement is willing to use armed invasion to conquer independent nations. An act of aggression such as this creates a very real danger to the security of all free nations. The challenge has been presented squarely. We will meet it squarely. The fact that communist forces have invaded Korea is a warning that there may be similar acts of aggression in other parts of the world. Free nations must be on their guard more than ever against this kind of sneak attack." Once again, defenders of the dream rose to the battle. Before ceasefire was signed, 33,000 died in action, while 110,000 defenders of the dream were wounded or reported missing in action.
In like manner of communist aggression, northern Vietnam began a series of aggressive occupations in the 1950s and 1960s. President of the Republic of Vietnam, Diem, called upon U.S. President John F. Kennedy for aid. President Kennedy offered, "The United States, like the Republic of Vietnam, remains devoted to the cause of peace, and our primary purpose is to help your people maintain their independence." Still, northern Vietnamese soldiers continued pursuit of ground, violating the provisions of the 1954 Geneva Convention. Then, on August 2nd, 1964, North Vietnamese boats fired torpedoes at the USS Maddox, a destroyer in the international waters of the Tonkin Gulf. On August 4th, the U.S. suffered a similar but deadlier attack at the hands of the northern Vietnamese. The U.S. Congress authorized President Lyndon B. Johnson to wage all-out war against North Vietnam.
To their willful aggression, President Johnson responded, "The challenge we face in Southeast Asia today is the same challenge that we have faced with courage and that we have met with strength in Greece and Turkey, in Berlin, in Korea, in Lebanon, and in Cuba. To any who may be tempted to support or widen this present aggression, I say this: there is no threat to any peaceful power from the United States of America. But there can be no peace by aggression and immunity from reply. The Vietnam War was underway.
Before the last American troop left Vietnam in 1973, the U.S. deployed 3,100,100 troops and incurred over 47,000 battle deaths. Returning home, many of the soldiers did not receive the hero's welcome they deserved for defending the dream of liberty, for the nation was split in its support of the war effort. Here, a new spirit was permeating the country. The 1960s and 1970s have been described as the dawning of a new age of harmony and understanding, of sympathy and trust abounding.
I'm wondering, do we have any former hippies in the audience? Former hippies. You aren't old enough to be former or anything. Do we have any current hippies in the audience? Well, you know, when we talk about the 1960s and the Vietnam War, you know, what is prevalent on the earth? The hippie movement. And so we had to have something from the hippie movement in this show. And you know, it saddens my heart that originally I was part of this act. And last week, the students all got together and voted and decided they did not like the way I danced and they put me out of the act. And so, you know, they will be paid back, I guarantee them, before the show ends. But right now, would you please make welcome the hippies of the Texas Academy of Leadership in the Humanities.
All right! And
seeing that guy. Well, he never showed up to practice. Yeah, he is that good. You know he's not white. After the Vietnam War, the United States experienced what some historians have marked as a period of patriotic malaise during the late 1970s. However, the 1980s ushered in a new era of patriotism and nationalism not seen since the World War II unity of the 1940s. This new surge of patriotism was birthed just in time for the next major combat. On August 2nd, 1990, Iraqi forces, under the leadership of President Saddam Hussein, invaded neighboring country Kuwait. Several months of negotiations followed, but to no avail. On January 17, 1991, the United States began the air campaign to liberate the captive country. The war would be known as Operation Desert Storm. On January 29, 1991, President George Bush Sr. addressed the U.S. Congress and nation, stating that Saddam Hussein's unprovoked invasion, his ruthless and systematic rape of a peaceful neighbor, violated everything this community of nations holds dear. Let future generations understand the burden and the blessings of freedom. Let them say we stood where duty required us to stand. Let them know that together we affirmed America and the world as a community of conscience. The war was a quick and decisive effort, with the ceasefire taking effect on April 11, 1991. 1,136,658 troops were deployed. 148 battle deaths occurred. The nation stood united and proud. A new generation was rising, and as it locked arms with the one before it, a new anthem proclaimed its battle cry. Composer Lee Greenwood writes, "If tomorrow all the things were gone I have worked for in my life, and I had to start again with just my children and my wife, I would thank my lucky stars to be living here today, because the flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away."
We think that you might know this song. The words go on to say, "And I'd gladly stand up next to you and defend America still today, because there ain't no doubt I love this land. God bless the USA." We'd like for you to sing it along with us.
All right.
Next to you and defend her
still having a good time? If you are, make some noise. I need to do something because I forgot to do it, so just give me a minute. It's been said that there are no atheists in foxholes. Think about that for a minute. Throughout its history, America has made no qualms about its belief in God and belief that He wants people of all places to live in freedom. At his inauguration, President George Washington kissed the Bible and then said that reason and experience both forbid us to expect that national morality can prevail in the exclusion of religious principle. How many of you here today believe in the grace of God? Wave your hands at me. I think that it would be only appropriate and inappropriate if we didn't, to slow things down a little bit and to think about God's grace. You know, right before we came out here to sing, Julie grabbed my hands and the rest of the students did backstage and they prayed. And I can appreciate that. We all come from different faiths, but we unite together to talk to our Father. And so, here to sing about God's grace for you today, I've asked two young ladies to come forward, and we're sure that you know this. We'd like for you to sing along with us. This is Miss Sherry Wilson and Jen Large. In Talent on Wheels, we are grateful for grace, and we're also grateful for those people who have gone before us and who have made clear for us the way of liberty and freedom. And as it is a tradition with us, this performance we lovingly dedicate to our audience, all of our senior friends.
I'm grateful to generations before mine for passing down the morals and the values that I guide my life, use to guide my life each day. Thank you. I'm grateful to generations before mine because they fought so that I may live free.
to generations before mine, because without their sacrifices, I would not be blessed with what I have today.
I am grateful to generations before mine, because without their sacrifices, we would not be free.
I am grateful to generations before mine for creating this great nation that I love.
I am grateful to generations before mine because their gifts of sacrifice have made America a great nation of freedom. I am grateful to generations before mine because they have made my world a possibility.
I am grateful to generations before mine because without their sacrifices, I would not be where I am today.
I am grateful for generations before mine because they gave their tomorrows for my today.
I am grateful to generations before mine for paving the way to the future.
I am grateful for generations before mine because of the selfless devotion that ensured my generation's freedoms and liberties.
I am grateful to generations before mine because they have fought for my freedom to worship God.
I am grateful to generations before mine for allowing me to live in a just and free country. I am grateful to generations before mine because they gave me the opportunity to live in a free country.
Ways to express gratitude differ from nation to nation and race to race and religion to religion. But there's one way that remains the same in all places on the earth, from the most advanced technological countries to what we would consider to be the least technologically advanced countries, third world countries. And the way to express that thanksgiving is through a simple word that all of us know. And the word is hallelujah. Talon on wheels?
Hallelujah!
And so, hallelujah is the same from language to language. And it's an expression that means worship, thanksgiving, and praise and glory to the Creator. Theologians have postulated that that word has remained consistent from language to language and race to race because the Creator wanted His creation united in at least one way as it gathered together to offer Him praise. So I've asked one of our young ladies to come forward today and sing about that word that is written upon our hearts and upon our minds. Would you please welcome Miss Casey Winsman? You know, it just occurred to me that it's very difficult to remain pessimistic when you're with these kids every week. Did you know that? I was thinking about, there's always opportunity to be negative, and I'm probably with these kids now more than their parents are, because we're together for practice and performing, and it's certainly a pleasure to be with all of you all the time. So thank you for giving me this semester. On September the 11th, 2001, I'm sure that all of you remember that terrorists hijacked 3 planes of a major airline in the United States, flying 2 of them into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center and killing many thousands of people. The passengers on the 3rd airliner, American Airlines Flight 93, overtook their hijackers, battling with them and crashing the plane into the ground below. We now know that that plane had turned and was headed directly to Washington, D.C., to be crashed into the White House. Several days later, on September the 20th, President George W. Bush addressed the nation, delivering a speech that has been called the speech of the century, and without a doubt, the speech of his lifetime.
Tonight we are a country awakened to danger and called to defend freedom. Our grief is turned to anger, and anger to resolution. Whether we bring our enemies to justice or bring justice to our enemies, justice will be done. I know there are struggles ahead and dangers to face. But this country will define our times, not be defined by them. As long as the United States of America is determined and strong, this will not be an age of terror. This will be an age of liberty here and across the world. Forget the wound to our country and those who inflicted it. I will not yield. I will not rest. I will not relent in waging this struggle for freedom and security for the American people. The course of this conflict is not known, yet its outcome is certain. Freedom and fear, justice and cruelty have always been at war, and we know that God is not neutral between them. Fellow citizens, we'll meet violence with patient justice, assured of the rightness of our cause, and confident of the victories to come. In all that lies before us, may God grant us wisdom, and may He watch over the United States of America.
The war on terrorism culminated on March 19, 2003, when President Bush announced from the Oval Office that he had given orders to begin attacks against selected targets of military significance in Iraq, where Al-Qaeda tortured and killed its own citizens. An ultimatum was direct. Iraqi President Saddam Hussein and his sons must leave the country, thereby surrendering their tyrannical regime. The days that followed were like none other in military history. With state-of-the-art weaponry, the U.S. launched missiles that struck targets with unparalleled precision. And then land troops began to march to the capital, Baghdad. Iraqi forces fell as coalition forces approached that capital city and ultimately captured Baghdad itself. On Thursday, May 1st, from the USS Abraham Lincoln, President Bush announced the end of the major battle operations in Iraq. Saddam Hussein, although missing, was without a country and military might. Both of his sons were subsequently killed. Today, with forces still in Iraq, the U.S. has suffered over 200 casualties of war. When we were putting together the show and getting ready for the end of all this, the thought that came to my mind was, how do we say thank you? How do we say thank you to those who have gone and given of themselves and have returned? And moreover, how do we say thank you to those who have gone and given of themselves and have not returned? In his Gettysburg address, President Abraham Lincoln said that he spoke for American citizens of all time, and he proclaimed that these soldiers had given their last full measure of devotion. And he said that American citizens most highly resolve that these dead shall not have died in vain. So for the 426,000 men and women who gave themselves and gave the last full measure of devotion in World War I, World War II, the Korean War, the Vietnam War, Operation Desert Storm, and Operation Iraqi Freedom, we honor them forever. We keep alive their stories, we pay tribute to their lives, and we give them all the glory. And in the Texas Academy of Leadership in the Humanities, we join with the voice of Abraham Lincoln, and we say that we most highly proclaim that these dead shall not have died in vain.
History of America.
Barton Elliott's World War I.
There are names that shine like beacons in the night.
Anthony Charles, World War II.
The patriot whose vision gave us meaning.
George Burton, Korean War.
Who kept the lamp of freedom burning bright.
Charles Wood, Vietnam War.
In the long and honored history of America.
Stephen Atherton, Operation Desert Storm.
There are those who paid the last and final price.
Thomas Grimhead, Operation Iraqi Freedom.
Called upon by chance or in desperate circumstance to pay the ultimate sacrifice.
Richard Ellis, World War I.
Lester George, World War II.
Our grateful nation bows its head in sorrow.
Alan Good, Korean War.
And in thanks for guaranteeing our tomorrow.
Kenneth Dover, Vietnam War.
The last full measure of devotion. That's what they gave to the cause.
Nathaniel Caldwell, Operation Iraqi Freedom.
Last full measure of
John Embry, World War I.
and though they cannot hear our applause,
Thomas Groody, World War II.
we honor them forever and keep alive their story. Pay tribute to their lives and give them all the glory. Last full measure of devotion. On
God bless America. Have you enjoyed our show today? When we were thinking about what we were going to do for a finale, the one thing I wanted you to be able to sing along with us. And I found an article that was written by the author, the writer of a song, and she didn't even really intend it to be a song or a verse. Her name, and it just went blank, and that's why I was trying to stall there. But it'll come to me in a second, I'll tell you. I want to say Sandra Ward Howe, who wrote the Battle Hymn of the Republic. And she states that as she sat down to write the song, in the middle of the night, the verses just poured out of her. And that's how she knew she was writing a song that was almost a supernatural experience for her. And the song was used by Union troops as they marched into southern United States to make sure that freedom was proclaimed to all people of all races. And so we want to sing one more song for you. We think that you will know it. It's the Battle Hymn of the Republic, and we dedicate it in particular to all the seniors who are in our audience. Let's give all of them a big round of applause. Y'all make it work out, right? I would ask you to stay with us a few more minutes. We now have the most important thing that we do every year, and that is where we honor these students for what they've done. You know, you may not know how they get a show like this together, but it doesn't come easily. They start practicing in the night, and they work for 2 hours every night before school starts for about a month. And then every Tuesday they travel out to the retirement centers to perform. And they do this after going to school all day. They go into meetings for the academy, and then going to study hall at night. Then they go to this practice till about 11 p.m., and then they study after that some more. So they work very hard. And so it's with great pleasure this year that Dr. Gagne and Vice President Doblin and I are going to present these kids with awards for outstanding service to the Southeast Texas community. We're very proud of you. Can you give them a hand clap? One young lady in particular has asked to say just one thing or two, and I told her I'd give her a couple of minutes on the mic. And she's a senior production assistant. She's been in this program now for 2 years, and she is our co-president of the Texas Academy, Miss Julie Akers.
I just wanted to thank on behalf of everyone in the production. Thank y'all for coming. I know most of y'all are here for extra credit, but I hope you enjoyed the program anyway. I also wanted to thank, I met some people before the show started that have been with us since the very beginning, and I would like to thank y'all very much for your patronage. And also, for all y'all new people that have never seen this show before, I hope y'all continue a tradition and keep seeing us. And we all wanted to express a thanks to Dr. Gagne for being the most amazing director possible. And And also, we wanted to thank Mr. Needham for being amazing and hilarious.
When I call your names, will you please come and receive your certificate? These certificates have the Lamar logo on them, and they say the Texas Academy of Leadership in the Humanities at Lamar University presents this award for outstanding service to the student for distinguished efforts in volunteerism during the 2003 fall production of Talent on Wheels, awarded this 18th day of November, 2003. Here for 2 years now, one of my senior productions assistants, you just met her from Wimberley, Texas, Miss Julie Akers. From Houston, Texas, Miss Diana Casado. We haven't figured out why she's proud of that yet. We will eventually. From League City, Miss Elizabeth Chapman. From Nome, Texas, Mr. David Cutler. From Vidor, Texas, Miss Lisa Daigle. From Houston, Texas, Miss Brittany Glaze. From Jasper, Texas, Chris Jefferson. From Groves, Texas, Jim Large. From Houston, Texas, Susanna Liu. From Alpine, Texas, Alicia O'Brien. My son from Pakistan, but he's from East Bernard, Texas, Sean Pasha. From Dallas, Texas, Grant Reddy. From Deweyville, Texas, Daniel Reed. From El Paso, Texas, Deanna Saeed. From right here in Beaumont, Texas, my white son, Shay Smith. From Buna, Texas, Becky Whitehead. Right here in Beaumont, Texas, Sujai Williams. From Sherino, Texas, Miss Sherry Williams. From Austin, Texas, Miss Casey Winsman. And finally, from Orangefield, Texas, Miss Jenny Gates. And I'm going to ask Dr. Doblin and Dr. Gagne to stay right here. I'm going to ask Dean Nichols, do you mind coming up? You know, the kids, and this is the very last thing we want to do. Dean Nichols, you're red, white, and you today, aren't you? Yeah. Dean Nichols and Dr. Doblin are always so very supportive of the Academy, and they are very busy people. And we don't take that for granted. And so all the kids wanted you to have this, Dean Nichols, today, on behalf of the Texas Academy of Leadership in the Humanities. And Dr. Gagne, we have another bouquet. Y'all can decide what you want. And there's something very special that we wanted to present to someone. I'm going to ask Dr. Doblin to entertain you for 1 second while I run backstage and get it.
I don't sing and I don't dance. But thank you all for coming. Congratulations again to Texas Academy Talent on Wheels. Wonderful performance. You're going to go far both in academics and perhaps in theater.
That was good. Not that anything for her. You know, this is our third year to do this on campus, and I told the kids last night when we were meeting, every year that we have performed on campus, and we've asked for RSVPs so we know how many chairs to set up, one RSVP has come in first for 3 years. It's the first one we always receive. And it's from our Executive Vice President, Dr. Stephen Doblin. And I know it's been a kind of a rough year for Dr. Doblin, but we love him. He's done so much for this university, and he is so supportive of Talent on Wheels. So it's with great pleasure, Dr. Doblin, that we give you Dr. Stephen Doblin, the Executive Vice President of Academic Affairs, for his continued support and leadership from the students in Talent on Wheels, a project of the Texas Academy of Leadership in the Humanities, on Tuesday, November the 18th, 2003. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming out. We appreciate it. I told you we'd get you out by 4:30, and it's 4:25. I'm a man of my word. Would you give Talent on Wheels one more big round of applause? Thank all of you. God bless you.
I don't think so.
But we're not going to perform. We need a break. No, when I was in high school, I was drum major for the band. Maybe that's carried over. Thanks, Travis. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I sat there with tears in my eyes.
I think everybody was crying.
Did we get a copy of that?
You would not be that most talented. Oh, sir.
I have all these skills y'all don't know about.
You freestyle. You freestyle. You play the piano. You dance. You're a hippie. We're gonna have fun with you on Thursday and Friday.
So, Mr. Cameron.
They were.
Let me see one of those.
You get Alice? I'll wear it.
No, not that one.
Chapman. Yes.
All right.
Chapman. Oh, yeah. Crystal's winning.
Mr. Needham, last word for the camera? Nope. All right.
I need to say two.
Yes.
There are 2 custom delivered birthday cakes in the Tao Lounge for Mr. Grant Reddy.
Oh.
And we are going to go eat. Also, if you know someone who is a junior or sophomore in high school and an honor student, there's a program for the Texas Academy set up right outside the elevator. Please pick up a brochure and take it to those people. If they qualify, they get into our program. And we pay their tuition.
He was a famous drummer down on Chicago way. He had a fully style no one else could play. But it's all he's the boogie boogie bugle boy coming to be. He is all you bars on full band. They give me bars down because it's good not jam. The guys seem to understand. Because the next is the cap when I'm strapped to the band. And now it's somebody else when he can travel east. He's the boogie boogie bugle boy coming to be.
Mr. Needham, on behalf of Talent on Wheels, I just want to recognize you for your amazing dedication to us. We would not have been able to pull this together without you, and you just put in so much hard work. So thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Did someone, I was told that somebody out here wanted to say something.
Yes.
Would you like the microphone?
No.
Okay. You have a voice that just carries.
I want to thank the younger generation for giving their time and talent to come entertain us. We have thoroughly enjoyed it. We
Thank you all for having us. You're always gracious with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. God bless you. Good night. Ladies and gentlemen, how are you today? Did anybody come in